Hey, congratulations, Beeple. Hot dang. You made some money. So if you missed the news, which I don't know how you did, but somehow you did, um, Beeple is a guy, a 3D artist who's been doing one render every day for 13 years or something. And he recently put 5,000 of his artworks in a grid as an art piece and called it the first 5,000 every days because he called them every days. And Christie's, which is traditionally like a private auction house that does like the high valued art pieces that you probably see in the news of like this piece sold for $70 million and this one is this, and it's like it's a convention for rich people to bet, and that's what it is. It's betting on things that'll go up in value, right? Um, but this had never been possible before to do for digital art because, of course, it's digital. I hit Control C and Control V. Now I own your artwork, huh? Well, non fungible tokens have changed the game. Non fungible tokens, NFT, means that using the blockchain, and this is where I wade into topics that I don't understand, the computers that are in the cloud, no, they're down here. They authenticate who owns what. And I say, this is my donut render, but I'm going to sell it to one person who wants it. And then a bunch of people go, me, 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 me. And they all bid on it. And then at the end of it, I transfer my token that says ownership to this person. What they get for it is exactly that. The picture is still online. It's still everywhere. It's still a tutorial that has been replicated tens of thousands of times by people who finish the tutorial. But one person gets to say they own that thing. And this is a new thing that is sweeping the world. Everything can be an NFT. Lindsay Lohan has an NFT. Logan Paul has an NFT. Soldier Boy has an NFT. And that's just to name a few. Mark Cuban, didn't he have an NFT of him dancing or something? Um, anything is an NFT now. I think it's just going to reach the point where everybody has an NFT account of things that they've done and owned. Teenagers will go like, "Here's a photo of my foot. Does anyone want to buy it?" No one wants to buy that. And we'll just like everyone has a social media account, everyone will have an NFT account, and you'll just be bidding on things that'll become more valuable. You hope will become more valuable. It's not dissimilar actually to there was this website that I loved growing up. Growing up, it was like 10 years ago. It was called the 61, and it was a little known website which was really cool before they killed it with a site redesign that they refused to roll back, and it died a natural death. But it was like Spotify, but for music discovery, and it was using gamification rules. Basically, every user on the platform got 20 tokens a day, 20 love hearts a day, I guess they called it. And you could place those love hearts on as many tracks as you want, or multiple ones on the same track. And it was basically a bet that song was going to increase, that more people later on were going to place love hearts on it. And then if you placed a love heart early on, then you got bonus love hearts or bonus points later on. So it was incentivizing people to discover new music and go deep into the records and go like, oh, I think this is going to be a hit. Oh, this sounds great. And place a bet on that. And then it blew up and then you got points for it. It was a really, really cool idea. Now that's NFTs. That's exactly what is happening here. It's placing bets on what is going to be popular. It's finding an artist which is doing something cool and going, oh, I like this guy's work. He's just getting started. He's getting warmed up. I reckon he's going to be big in the future. I'm going to buy one of his NFTs for $200 or whatever it is, right? And maybe you win. Maybe you lose. It's a bet, right? And I think when you think of it like that, it makes a lot of sense rather than like, oh, what are you buying? Um, So, there's this whole thing of like, to finish the story. Okay, so Beeple had this Christie's piece, and he was going to sell it at the auction. Now, previously, Beeple's pieces had sold for hundreds of thousands each as NFTs. His first one was $66,000, and I messaged him on Twitter. I'm like, did you seriously make $66,000 from this? He's like, yeah, and I sold two of them. I'm like, what the hell? Then a few weeks later, he made $3.5 million in one weekend selling a bunch of stuff at once. That was crazy. And I was like, oh my goodness, what could top this? So he had this 5,000 piece artwork that was going to be sold at Christie's, which was upper tier again, because that was like a top tier. Basically, Christie's and Sotheby's are the two major auction houses of the world. And I was like, whoa, this is going to be big. So I made a prediction on my newsletter that it was going to sell for 2 million. That was my bet. 2 million as a guesstimate. And so what happened? Well, on the first day, it hit 10 million. And then it sort of stayed around 12, 14 million for most of the 2-week period that it was on auction. And they actually put out a video, Christie's put out a video on it, so you can see it, but they filmed him and his family's reaction. And in the last 2 minutes, it went 14, 15, $25 million, $50 million, and him and his like families, like old folks, like behind him going, "Oh, what?" And, like, you can tell they don't know what an NFT is. And then they hit refresh the final time, and then it said auction closed. Final sales $69.3 million. Now, I don't know what you do after that. I don't know how they pull you down out of the clouds to say this is real. It must be a similar feeling to like winning the lottery, even though it's not the lottery and it was your hard work that pulled it off. You just went from nothing to having all the money you'll ever need and being able to pass it down for generations. I don't know how you do that, especially since he did that consecutively. Like, we sold $66,000 worth. He must have been like, oh my gosh, look at all this money. Because he was just like doing freelancing for a bit and like every days and like working for brands. Like, that's, paycheck to paycheck, really. That's kind of slim pickings. And then he suddenly made like a year's salary selling one thing. That must have been crazy. And then $3.5 million. That must have been crazy. This, I think you just sort of tap out and go, I'll just not expect anything from now on, and we'll just see what happens. I'll just pretend. I'll put it in a bank account and pretend it's not there, and we'll see what happens. No, but congrats, man. I got to be honest though. My first thought when I heard about this, when I saw it, was just insane jealousy. Because really, and I said this before, there's nothing technically difficult about any one of his pieces. If you just pull it up and like look at it, like, it's an artwork that many 3D artists could have done, right? It's got some elements and models pulled in from different places and textures, and it's a scene. There's nothing hard about it. And so part of you thinks when you see it, I could do that. That guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I could do that. You forget that it was 13 years in the making. And that doing it every single day, Christmas, when you're sick, when you've got other stuff going on, when you didn't sleep the night before because you just sold a bunch of money, when everything in your life is telling you no, to still do it every single day. That's the story. That's it. And that is very hard to reproduce. I think the other thing that drove his success, or the price of it really, is that because he was doing these every single day, the turnaround time was rapid. So you could see something in the news and think, I wonder what Beeple's going to do tomorrow. Like, what's the artwork going to be? Because it's going to be that. And that turnaround time was it became part of the cultural conversation. Seeing his thing on Instagram based on, what you saw yesterday, or Elon Musk tweeting about Dogecoin, and then Elon Musk walking the dog on Mars, or whatever it is, it's like it just becomes part of the conversation. And so he wasn't just known within the 3D art space. It was, my friends are asking me, "Do you know Beeple?" Um, becomes part of the conversation. 1.4 million followers or something. That just, it's somebody you follow who's doing something cool, and I think that's it. People want to buy a piece of that. They want to get a little piece of that puzzle, and it's very cool. Hats off to you, and I will have to keep remembering that you've done something insanely hard, because it's like when you see those, you know the news articles of an artist that drew like one stroke on a piece of